You work. There is a silent battle that rages within every human being. A war not against others, but against the part of ourselves that keeps us bound to mediocrity. This inner weakness is subtle. It speaks in whispers, telling you to wait, to rest, to try later. It tells you that you are tired, that you are not ready. That work, that maybe you're not the person who succeeds. This voice may sound like you, but it is not you. It is the product of fear, of doubt, of years of conditioning. And until you choose to confront it, to silence it, to kill it, it will rule over your life without mercy. This weaker version of yourself has no ambition. It seeks safety and routine. It runs from challenge and hides behind excuses. While they watch you work, it's the version that procrastinates, that breaks promises to self, that says, tomorrow, with no intention of changing. It's the one that scrolls instead of studies, that complains instead of creates. And unless you consciously destroy this version, you work, it will quietly destroy every dream you hold dear. But how do you kill it? You begin by calling it out. Become deeply aware of when this weak self shows up. When you're about to work out and feel like quitting. When you want to study but get distracted. When you know what's right but do what's easy. That is the moment. That is the battlefield. The kill happens not in dramatic action, but in a single decision to do what the weak self fears. Action is the sword that slays the inner coward. You were not born with this weak self. It was built by repeated indulgence in comfort. And now it is your responsibility to tear it down. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens in moments of deliberate pain, choosing growth over ease, showing up when motivation is absent. You work, finishing what you started even when no one will notice. These are the rituals that build the strong version of you and bury the weak one. Understand something crucial. The weak self thrives in silence. It lives in your thoughts, in your rationalizations, in your justifications. You must speak against it. You must declare that it no longer has a say. Say to yourself, that part of me is gone. And then live as if it were true. Because the moment you begin to identify more with your strength than your struggle, the transformation begins. You start to shift. You start to lead. You begin to become. The stronger version of you is not someone you have to invent. It's someone you have to release. But to do so, you must make space. And the only way to make space is to kill what no longer belongs. You already know who you need to become. Now the question is, are you willing to eliminate who you've been? The choice is yours, and it is made every single day. Make it with purpose. Make it with power. You work, and never look back. The greatest deception we fall for is the belief that we must wait for the right moment to change. While they watch you work, we convince ourselves that one day we'll wake up more disciplined, more focused, more ready. You work, but that one day never comes. Not because we're not capable, but because the weak version of ourselves is always waiting in the shadows, feeding us lies of comfort and delay. It promises safety, but delivers stagnation. It offers relief, but steals progress. The longer you entertain it, the more control it gains. That's why it must be confronted, challenged, and ultimately eliminated from your life. The weak version of you isn't always loud. Sometimes it disguises itself in logic. It tells you that you're being realistic, that you're avoiding risk, that now is just not the right time. It uses soft language and gentle persuasion, but its purpose is lethal. It wants to hold you where you are because growth demands discomfort, and discomfort is its enemy. And so long as you allow it to make decisions on your behalf, it will kill your momentum before you even begin. You work. Every habit you allow that doesn't serve your purpose strengthens the grip of the weak self. Skipping the gym, postponing work, hitting snooze, all small acts of surrender that seem harmless in isolation, but stack them day after day. You work, and what you have is not just a delay in success. It's the burial of your potential. You become a prisoner of your own routines. You work, living the same day over and over, calling it a life. But here's the truth that can liberate you. The strong version of you already exists. It's not buried deep. It's buried just beneath your excuses. You catch glimpses of it when you feel fired up, when you have clarity. You work when you push through resistance. That is the real you. And the more you listen to that voice, the louder it becomes. You work every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. You chip away at the shell of weakness that's been built around you. You kill the weak version by starving it. Stop feeding it time, attention, and energy. Don't argue with it. Just act against it. When it says rest, rise. When it says later, go now. When it says you can't, respond with bold execution. And don't wait until you feel powerful. Act powerless. Act afraid. Just act. Because action, even when taken in weakness, is stronger than an action soaked in intention. The process is brutal, but it's honest. You work. You'll have to disappoint the old version of yourself 1,000 times before you become who you're meant to be. But what's the alternative? Living a life half-lived, settling into patterns that betray your dreams. You must decide that enough is enough, that your potential deserves more than your patterns, that your future demands more than your fears. The weak version of you had its time. That time is over. Now it's your time to rise. You work. There is a reason most people never reach their full potential. It's not because they lack talent, resources, or intelligence. You work. It's because they remain loyal to the weakest parts of themselves. They protect their insecurities. They justify their laziness. They defend the very mindset that holds them captive. And without realizing it, they become allies of their own downfall. But you are not most people. You are here, now, because a deeper part of you is tired of living below your calling. That tiredness is not weakness. It's the awakening. And with that awakening comes a demand: kill the version of you that no longer serves your vision. The weak self is not always obvious. Sometimes it looks responsible. It tells you to play it safe, to take the familiar path, to be satisfied with good enough. But make no mistake, it is the voice of limitation, and its goal is to keep you ordinary. It fears your growth because growth leads to discomfort, and discomfort is where the real transformation begins. So every time you step into discomfort, you wage war on the weaker self. You declare that your future is worth more than your fears. To truly evolve, you must get radical. Stop negotiating with the old self. Stop asking for its opinion. It will never support your higher goals. It was built from comfort, and comfort cannot comprehend greatness. Start making decisions from the version of you that already has the life you want. How would that person behave? What would that person do in this moment? Think from that mindset, and then act on it, because every powerful change begins with a single, defiant choicing. I will no longer tolerate this version of me. Burn the bridges. Destroy the plan B. Stop giving yourself soft landings when you fail to show up. The only way to grow strong is to remove the exit routes. Weakness survives where there is escape. Strength is born where there is commitment. And commitment requires sacrifice. The sacrifice of your comfort zone, your lazy habits, your endless list of justifications. You work. You will not always feel like showing up. That's exactly why you must. Because every time you show up when it's hard, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. You begin to believe in your power not because of what you say, but because of what you do repeatedly. That's the difference between those who dream and those who dominate. The dreamers wait to feel ready. The dominators act in spite of resistance. This is your time to dominate, not others, but yourself. While they watch, you work to rise above the petty battles within and execute on your vision like your life depends on it. Because it does. You work. You weren't born to remain stuck in cycles of weakness and regret. You were born to rise, to lead, to become something greater than what you've been. So bury the old self. Mourn it if you must, but do not resurrect it. The future demands the strongest version of you, and that version is forged in fire. You work. Now light the match. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never conquer anything in the outer world until you conquer what's inside of you. The weak version of yourself isn't just a bad habit or a moment of laziness. It's a system of thinking. It's a mental virus that infects every decision, every opportunity, every goal you attempt to pursue, And unless you reprogram that system, you will always return to the same behaviors, the same doubts, while the same failures. You might call it your personality. You might think, work, this is just who I am. But that's not who you are. It's who you've accepted. And the moment you decide to stop accepting weakness as your identity, that is the moment you begin the true journey of self-mastery. This is not a motivational high. This is war. You are either killing the old you daily, or the old you is killing your future silently. The weak version of you thrives on delay. It doesn't need to defeat you in one massive blow. It just needs you to put off growth one more day, and another. It wins by convincing you that later is a strategy. But later is a lie. All progress is now. All strength is forged in the now. The weak version of yourself cannot live in the present. It only survives in the illusion of tomorrow. You work. You must get brutal with your standards. Not because life is cruel, but because your dreams demand it. You cannot expect world-class outcomes with half-hearted efforts. You cannot expect discipline to emerge out of comfort. You must become a person who does hard things. Not because they are easy, but because doing hard things kills weakness. You are not here to take the easy path. You are here to take the necessary one, and the necessary path requires sacrifice. The old self must die for the new one to be born. This transformation begins in your language. Pay attention to how you speak. When you say, I'm trying, what you're really saying is, you work. I've left the door open for failure. When you say, I hope, what you're really saying is, well, I don't believe. That's the weak self speaking. Kill it. Replace it with certainty. Replace it with clarity. Say, I am doing. Say, I will become. Say, this version of me is temporary. Your environment matters too. The weak version of you survives in weak surroundings. Look at who you listen to, what you consume, how you spend your time. If it feeds your excuses, it is feeding your enemy. Cut it off. Replace it with fuel. Books, people, routines that challenge you to grow, that call you out, that hold you to a higher standard. Build a life that leaves no space for weakness to grow back. Remember, every single day is a vote for the strong self or the weak one. No one can cast that vote but you. And eventually, those votes add up. They shape your destiny. Make today count. Make it a day the old you would never survive. You work, because that's how greatness is built. One day at a time, one battle at a time, one choice at a time. You work. There comes a point where you must decide what kind of life you're going to live. One of silent surrender or one of relentless strength. The weak version of you doesn't make that decision consciously. It drifts, it avoids, it escapes responsibility by blaming circumstances. It survives by convincing you that you have no control, that life is happening autog you. But the truth is, life is responding to you. Your actions, your mindset, your choices, they shape your future. And as long as you let the weaker self lead, the life you truly desire will stay locked behind your excuses. There is no growth without resistance. And the weak self fears resistance more than anything. That's why it avoids it, runs from it, rationalizes its way out of it. It wants to stay in what's familiar, because that's where it feels safe. But growth does not happen in safety. It happens in discomfort. So if you want to kill the weak version of yourself, start by seeking discomfort on purpose. Embrace it. While at your work, train your mind to see pain not as punishment, but as proof that you are evolving. One of the greatest lies weakness will tell you is that you need motivation to move. That is false. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is truth. Motivation shows up when it wants to. Discipline shows up even when you don't feel like it. And every time you act without waiting for motivation, you work. You weaken the grip of the lesser self. You train your mind to obey your will, not your feelings. That is the highest level of personal power. When your actions are guided by principle, not emotion. Understand this clearly: nobody is coming to save you. No one is going to pull you out of the pit you refuse to climb out of. You must become your own rescue. That means taking full responsibility. Not partial, not shared. Full responsibility for who you are, where you are, and who you're becoming. The weak version of you plays victim. The strong version becomes the architect of their life. You must choose which one leads. And yes, it will be hard. You will have to face the truth about your habits, your laziness, your fears. But that truth is not there to shame you. It is there to free you. Because once you acknowledge it, you can change it. You can replace it. You can build something new. But only if you're honest enough to admit what must go. The weak self cannot survive in the presence of consistent action. That's how you destroy it. Not in dramatic gestures, but in the daily grind. In showing up again. In rising early. In finishing what you start. In keeping your word to yourself even when no one is watching. That's where strength is forged. So stand up. Not just physically, mentally, spiritually. Stand up and face the version of you that's been holding you back. While they work, look it in the eye, and let today be the day you say, "Ooh, no more." Because you weren't born to live half a life. You work. You were born to rise. And that rise begins the moment you kill what's been keeping you small. Every day you wake up, you work. There are two versions of you battling for control. The one that wants to stay the same, and the one that wants to grow. One whispers comfort. The other demands commitment. One wants excuses, the other craves execution. The tragedy is, most people lose this battle before they even get out of bed. They listen to the voice that says, 5 more minutes. You can do it later. Ooh, it's okay to skip today. But those seemingly heartless choices add up. You work, they compound into a life that falls short of what it could have been. Not because they weren't capable, but because they kept feeding the weaker self. The only way to rise into the person you were meant to be is to stop negotiating with that part of yourself. Kill it. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Because it never really goes away. It just waits for a moment of weakness to reclaim its throne. And the moment you slip, it grows stronger. While they work, that's why discipline must become your weapon. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. While they watch you work, it's about doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Your life reflects the standards you accept. And if you keep tolerating low standards, from yourself, from your habits, from your mindset, you will keep getting low results. While they watch you work, that's the pattern of the weak self. It doesn't ask, what will make me stronger? It asks, what feels good right now? That is short-term thinking. That is survival mode. And you were not born to survive. You were born to thrive, to lead, to conquer. But to do that, you must build the ability to delay gratification. The weaker you wants pleasure now. The stronger you wants purpose forever. So when the alarm rings, get up. When the workout hurts, push through. When the work is boring, finish it anyway. Each of these acts is a brick in the foundation of the strongest version of you. You're not just doing tasks. You're creating identity. And identity, once built through action, becomes unshakable. Don't wait for life to force you to change. Don't wait for failure, heartbreak, regret, or rock bottom to wake you up. That's how the weak self operates, waiting for pain to push it. The strong self is pulled by vision. It sees where it's going, and it moves forward with purpose. You must learn to be self-directed, not circumstance-driven. That shift is what separates the great from the average. And yes, they watch. People will question you. They'll say you're too intense, too focused, too serious. But remember, those who cling to comfort will always misunderstand those who chase greatness. Don't shrink for them. Don't slow down for anyone. The weak self loves approval. The strong self lives for progress. So decide now, this hour, this moment, who you will allow to lead your life. You work, because you cannot move forward carrying the weight of who you used to be. Kill the version of you that hesitates. Kill the one that doubts. Kill the one that clings to the past. And in its place, step boldly into the strength that was always within you. You work. The path to becoming your greatest self isn't paved in comfort. It's forged in fire. That fire is discipline. While they watch you work, and its flame must burn down everything that no longer serves you. The weak version of yourself is not just a personality trait or a phase. It is a threat to your future. It is the quiet saboteur that lurks in your habits. You work in your reactions, in your willingness to settle. It keeps you playing small while you were born to play bold. And if you want to step into your full potential, you must declare war on that version. You must kill it, mercilessly, intentionally, and completely. This isn't about being harsh, it's about being honest. You work. Take a hard look at the gap between the life you want and the life you currently live. That gap is not caused by your circumstances, while it's caused by your standards, somewhere along the way. The weak version of you convinced you that your current effort is good enough. That lie is the foundation of mediocrity. And as long as you accept it, you'll never rise. To close that gap, you must raise the bar. You must create a new normal. That means waking up earlier, staying up later, doing more than what is required. Not for applause, but for alignment. The stronger version of you is not interested in being average. It's not interested in blending in. It's here to build, to dominate, to lead. But it can't breathe if you keep feeding the old self. You've got to break the cycle. That begins with your rituals. Your morning, your evening, your use of time. These aren't just parts of your day. They are the mold from which your future is formed. The weak self wants to wing it. The strong self builds systems. So ask yourself, are your days designed to develop discipline, or are they designed for distraction? Because if you don't intentionally kill time wasting habits, they will slowly kill your dream. And make no mistake, this is a daily death. Killing the weak version of yourself is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. You work. You must wake up every day and outwork it, outthink it, outlast it. You must beat it through action, through clarity, through consistency. Every decision is a battle. And with each right choice, you weaken its grip. But here's the reward. The more you kill that version, the less power it has. Eventually, your default becomes discipline. Your standard becomes excellence. Your identity becomes unshakable. And what once felt like effort becomes automatic. While they watch, you don't need more time. You need more truth. The truth that you are capable of far more than you've shown. You work. The truth that you've been holding yourself back. And the truth that it ends now. Not tomorrow, not next week. You now. So burn the excuses. Break the patterns. Kill the weak version of yourself. And step forward. Not just as who you are, but as who you were always meant to be. The world is waiting. But first, you must rise.